This morning we're in Congleton up north and we're here. Very pretty lake on the surface. Good chaps that are involved in the club here. Got at 7:30, had a look around and we've just put the nets in the water, and there'll be a lot of familiar things you can see this week, one of them being this. You can't really walk in there. There's about 4 or 5 inches of water and about 4 foot of silt all in this bay. Same in the other bay down in the other corner. It's okay out in the middle, but bearing in mind the amount of silt in here, it was dredged in 2017, but it wasn't dredged. It was, I don't know, how we see some of this work done, which is sort of far from. It wasn't drained and emptied and done properly. It was done, you know, one of the other methods, which just doesn't work, and it hasn't worked. Really pretty lake though. Hang on, let me do this. Coming round here, you know, lots and lots of lovely trees, but as you'll notice, they've drained it as well, a foot for us, which has helped, but there's no vegetation. And when you've got this much rotten leaf every year falling in, sounds like a familiar story because we talk about it a lot, but it looks green right outside, but it's just weeds and ferns. There's no vegetation. But now the club are at a point where they keep putting fish in every year, and it's £35 a year to fish. But they'll get grants for this to do the swims, which need a bit of work, and that's not even in the water. Like clumps that's the most vegetation around the lake, and it's not actually doing much at all. And in fairness, even that divided up would be enough to go between them 2 sets of trees properly. But the banks are in desperate need of repair because they're just collapsing, partly because there's no vegetation, and the water quality just looks black, really black. But soon turn it around. It's not the end of the world. It can all be done, but not just by putting fish in.
Could you imagine if we let our walls fall down? Took all the baggage that we saved and threw it out. Grab the keys, hit the lights.
So yeah, actually net's okay, very silty. The margins are full of rubbish, full of a lot of terrible stuff, but actually they did kind of dredge it and push a bit of silt around, so it's all right out there, but it's very deep with silt still. And like I say, these swims are very iffy. But the problem with the club is, there's no problems with the club if you know what I mean, but they're only charging £35 a year for a whole year's fishing, which, you know, like I said, a pack of cigarettes is like 15 quid. So if you're charging £35 a year for fishing, you know, you're going to need some grant funding and lottery funding and that sort of thing to do the work. But the work is around the edges. The work is around the margins. Sort the margins out. They've done what a lot of clubs do, drop trees and just laid them in the edge, which again are no benefit whatsoever. And you think, oh, it'll be stopping the erosion, I can get my leg under there because water keeps going under there. So all around here, look, sorry, I'm not zooming in much, but it's all the same around here. So that's what I do, concentrate on building up the margins, improving the habitat, and then the water would massively improve. Further application, they have been chalking, but they haven't done it for a couple of years, so definitely a ton a year in here. You can just see the leaves now, look, every single year, all this on here, every year. Tree falls in, rots away, but they've got the right idea, the club know what they want to do, they're just seeking funding to do it. There's plenty of fish, like most of these places, plenty of fish. All right, they stock every year, but I've said, well, personally, I wouldn't put any more in. Good mix of fish. There was a catfish in here that they said about, and the EA said get it out. We've caught that and dispatched that. But it's a beautiful little pond. But in the summer, it's just very inconsistent, like a lot of club waters are. But I'm sorry, but if you're fishing a lake just like this for £35 a year, you need to put the price up, unfortunately, and generate some more funds to be able to make the improvements that are required. And I can promise you that it would massively improve. So yeah, we caught a nice lot of fish, real nice mix of fish. Green, tench, carp, chub, and the condition of the fish is okay, it's good. Nice perch, a lot of debris, a lot of leaf matter. Quite a decent recruitment of most species. The carp are pretty. A few F1s. But like I say, it is stocked annually, so it's not really a true reflection of what the lake could hold. It's sustainably, it's what gets stocked every year. But yeah, decent amount of fish in the first bit we've done. Not too bad. Oh, so it's really like rotting. It's just silt. I'm just wading through immense amounts of rotting vegetation. Where I'm on the edge here, I'd say they've dropped it. Best part of a foot. And they're doing some good useful work up there, clearing stuff. But yeah, it's you only got to go 2 or 3 foot out on the bank. Much like a lot of club waters where they don't charge much money. You know, like I said, the real work is around these margins. There's a lot of debris down here. There's a big tree that's fell in going along here. You can't really move. There's all stuff like this. But I'd say that side netted okay. When you're out in the open water, it's okay. But just the margins, like even that clump of iris there, that could be split. But then if you try and plant that in amongst all this debris, it won't take. I'm sorry, it'll take, but it won't do any good because it's all covered by all the others here. Everything's trying to feed on the, you know, it's all about nutrients and stuff. So I would definitely take it all back. And we see this a lot. I don't blame people for doing it. You know, they cut a tree down, wedge it under the bank, but behind it, it's just mess. And we'd rip all this out, because again, that's doing nothing for the water quality. So we're getting it all out, rejuvenating all these banks, and doing as much as you can. Just pollarding the island, drop them down to 10-15 foot. We'll let more light and wind in. Now the wind's up, and you've got a nice breeze on some of the lake. Down in that corner, where all the wind blows, that's where it's just horrendous and smells really bad. But it's a beautiful little pool. But for £35 a year, it's, I mean, it's, you know, some parts of the country, it's day ticket. 24 hours on a carp lake for 30 quid. But it's got loads of potential, and they know the swims need doing, but they need funding. And I think they'll get plenty of help and support, oh Christ, from, you know, lottery and stuff, because this is the sort of club that could do with it. It's a little community pond, it's all good stuff.